Today, I want to talk about something that I think is extremely important, and that's creating an income stream outside of your job. It's likely one of the hardest things you're ever going to be able to do, but it's probably exactly what you need to do to get into a better situation if you're not currently in one right now. So, my first recommendation, there's three ways that you can go about it, three of the most simple ways, in my opinion. I'm gonna say number one would be to be investing into something. So investing into something could mean like you can invest into a syndication in real estate. Typically, you need a little bit more experience when you're doing something like that, or you can invest into dividend heavy stocks, things like that. Something that's gonna give you a recurring revenue every single month. Another way is just normally buying a home and then renting it out. It doesn't typically work like that. Airbnb is not too much of a viable strategy anymore, mainly because the market's not supporting that currently, especially in my local market, which is South Florida. Investing in something when you don't have the capital is obviously going to be impossible. So there's a lot of other more efficient ways for you to be investing and growing your wealth. Number two, which I'm quite fond of, is acquiring a new skill slash trade. So whenever you're going to be acquiring a new skill, it could be anything that has the potential to do something for you that could be scalable in a way. It doesn't necessarily have to be like social media marketing. It could be any number of things. It could be YouTube, it could be TikTok affiliate. I prefer the more remote versions of this, mainly because I like to have freedom over my time and freedom of location. I prefer to travel, and I think it's really important to try to maintain control over your time. So remote works best for me like that. But a new skill slash trade could be something along the lines of like plumbing, or it could be along the lines of something like real estate, becoming an agent, becoming a broker. I mean, these aren't necessarily side hustles or an income you're going to make outside of your job, but this is something you can work towards in your job currently that can give you a better future. So, if you're a plumber, obviously that's not like a lucrative side hustle. That is a full-blown job, but more importantly, it's a business. You can scale something like that. Scaling that is really what's going to help you at the end of the day. And if you learn how to scale that, you potentially can learn how to scale bigger things and better things. And you're going to be able to become a more knowledgeable, learned, educated business person, entrepreneur, and more importantly, investor. So this is a good way. It's typically a time consuming way, but a skill and trade can also be like social media marketing. If you know how to grow and how to run ads for businesses, that could be really efficient for you. That could be really a good way to scale and a good way to make side income, and it could be a good way to build your reputation, which is the most important thing. The last way, which I'm most fond of, is starting a scalable side hustle. This is something I'm the most fond of because this is my personal experience. I've done this a few different times and they've all, not all worked out, but they've all benefited me because I've had to learn a lot of different things to be able to continue and grow. So this is going to be the one that challenges you the most. And it could be very simple. It could be as simple as literally just like cleaning up couches and then reselling them on eBay. I mean, or Craigslist or OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace. That's very simple, and it doesn't sound extremely scalable, but you know, there's a lot of good deals or even free couches you can clean, and there's videos on this. You know, Ryan Pineda has a video about it. You know, the authenticity of it, you know, is always into question, but he does have a video, and it is a good way to make money. My first way to make money outside of my job was reselling sneakers, and that, you know, at the time, it's not the most honorable side hustle, but at the time, it was the only thing I felt like I could learn because my friends had done it when I was younger. So, because my friends had done it, it gave me the confidence to be able to attempt and try something like that. And that's the only thing I could conceive of because I've had no prior business experience. But that taught me a lot more skills than anything else I could have picked at the time. If I would have just done Uber, which I have done Uber, you don't necessarily learn something, and that's not scalable. Uber is not scalable because you can't clone yourself to make multiple versions of you. But it challenged me to learn how to do social media marketing, how to do accounting, how to negotiate, and how it really looks to build something from the ground up. My original page was called Juiced Up Kicks. It's still up. You can go look at it. And it's how I started. I had to make a format. I needed to learn what type of things to post, how can I grow, and more importantly, how can I profit and make an income stream outside of trading my time for money. So that's the one I'm most fond of. But more importantly, you should pick what's important to you, what you think is right, and how you feel like you should be living your life. Because just because scaling a side hustle is my preferred method doesn't mean that you can't invest because your job is too time consuming, or you've already had experience being a handyman for a few years and now you want to try to renovate homes and then buy them and rent them out, or help in an apartment building and try to be in a syndication to repair these buildings and then fund those deals yourself. There's a lot of different ways to make money, and the more complex usually, the less beginner friendly. And I really like to push to start the simplest version first. My version is scalable side hustles, but that could be anything for you. All right, that's all for today. Thanks.